You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 265. Navigate life's changes without losing yourself. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, breakup coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, beautiful brave hearts. How are you doing? It is actually September when I am recording this, but this episode is going to air in November, pretty close to Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving. I wanted to take a moment and talk about a lesson that was discussed inside of my Bigger and Better Life Mastermind today. And I feel like it's going to be helpful, especially during the season of Thanksgiving, the season of holidays. So we're actually going to talk about seasons and self-identities. And what I mean by that is we hold certain beliefs about ourselves, okay? We hold these ideas about who we are as human beings here on this earth. And when we do, we have a collection of what I would call thoughts, ideas, beliefs about ourselves. And those thoughts, beliefs, and ideas create and make up our self-identity, how we identify ourselves. And as I was talking with a Braveheart inside of my mastermind, we were discussing her intention for the month of September because we do this mastermind for 6 months. September is the last month. We're coming up on our big retreat that we have this weekend where I get to see all of them in person. They get to stay at the Heartbreak Hotel. I'm just so excited. But her focus for the last 5 months and for the last month, 6 months, or I guess for this next month, her focus this whole time has really been around knowing herself and feeling more confident in who she is, to the point where she stops people pleasing and she feels really confident in her boundaries and in her self-discipline. And it's been a beautiful, beautiful journey to watch her go through. She's made so much progress in this area, and I just see her, this new beautiful self, come out and asking for what she wants and being who she wants and loving herself through that process. And it's been magical. So this last month, what was so fascinating was her focus and her intention really being around, she wanted to be around, she is someone who does what she says she's going to do. Another way we can say this in the I statement, right, is saying, I am someone who does what I say I'm going to do. And I think a lot of us strive for that identity of I am someone who does what I say I'm going to do. When I say I'm going to get over my ex, I do it. When I say I'm going to create this result, I create it. When I say I'm going to work out, I do it. Like, I don't have to worry about myself actually following through on the words that I say I'm going to do. And we started out talking about the caveats to this, because when you think about it, when you're truthful with yourself, there's really no way to do what you're saying you're going to do 100% of the time for the rest of your life. Really just take a moment here and think about this, right? There have been and always will be a caveat to this. There's emergency situations, there's unforeseen circumstances, something that might happen outside of your control. And in those moments, if we don't do what we say we're going to do, what happens a lot of times is we're like, oh my gosh, I guess I'm just not someone who does what they say they're going to do. And that was something that we've talked about because, again, after she's been working on this for about 5 months, she feels really confident in her caveats. She feels confident in knowing the difference between like an emergency situation or a situation where she's like, no, I agree with not having followed through on that. I've changed, I pivot. And she feels confident in that. Now, not all of us are there, but she was there for that. I want to talk about, so that's like one section, set that aside. But I want to talk about when I started like exploring the areas where it's not necessarily that case, right? And for example, she was using weightlifting, working out. She bought workout gear, like weights and stuff to put in her house to do. And she hadn't used them since she bought them. And right now in this moment, that feels misaligned for her, right? And when we begin to look at, okay, in the moments where you aren't following through on doing what you say you're going to do, in a legitimate situation, not those caveats we were talking about previously, but is there ever, like, when we're in those situations where we're truly not doing the things we want to do, and it's not an emergency situation or one of those caveats, is there ever really a good time to hold an identity of, I'm not someone who does what she says she's going to do? Is it really a good time to hold a new identity or change or shift your entire identity because you're not following through on something you wish you want to follow through on? And this is an interesting question. I really want you to answer that question for yourself. Is there really a good time? Is there ever a time where it's helpful for me to believe I'm not someone who follows through on what they say they're going to do? Because at first glance, you're kind of like, yeah, duh, Dorothy. Like, if I tell myself that I'm not someone who's following through, then I'm going to start becoming that person. I have to become aware of the fact that I'm not someone who's following through on what they say. And it might even feel like a cold, hard fact, right? You're like, situation is, I said I was going to do this. I didn't do that, right? For her, it was, said I was going to lift weights. I haven't lifted weights for 2 months. But what I notice is that, no, in fact, it doesn't really serve her to make a new identity. It doesn't serve her to take on a new identity of, I don't do the things I say I'm going to do just because in this one area of her life, she hasn't lifted weights for 2 months. And you want to know why? It's because of how you feel when you shift that self-identity. And for her, when she thinks about a new identity of saying, oh, because I haven't done this one thing in this one area, if I started to believe I don't do the things I say I'm going to do just because, right, we're in that one area, she feels icky about herself, which is ultimately going to lead to negative self-talk, rumination, even more procrastination. So if there's never a time that that identity would serve her to have, why put it on? Why put it on? Right? Now, what does this have to do with seasons? Okay. Stay with me, my friends. I know this is an advanced concept. What does this have to do with seasons? We all have seasons of life. And just because we move through different seasons in different ways, it doesn't mean we have to change our identities. Just because you're struggling right now in your breakup doesn't mean you have to pick up the identity, I'm someone who struggles with heartbreak, or I'm someone who's not good at being alone. Just because you're having a hard time moving through your heartbreak, right? And for example, someone who is health conscious or considers themselves to be healthy, they go through seasons. They go through a season of bulking, a season of resting, a season of cutting, a season of experimentation and trial and error. Just because they're having these different seasons doesn't mean that they have to say they have a different identity. It doesn't mean that they're not a healthy person just because they have seasons that look different. We all move through seasons of life, and be careful of attaching self-identities to new seasons. We are ever evolving and changing. We can allow ourselves to have multiple different seasons in life while continuing to be grounded in who we are. We do not need to lose ourselves because one season of life looks more difficult than the other, feels more difficult than the other. We don't have to define our seasons by how we're showing up. So I want to give you some journal prompts to help you explore this idea for yourself, okay? The first one is, what season of life am I in right now? Getting clear about this, being aware of what season you're in right now is really important. For myself personally, as I'm recording this back in September, I'm in a season of nesting. I'm in a season of slowing down, of pulling back, of cocooning. And so that doesn't mean I'm not a successful business owner, because I'm not full throttle into my business right now. which that's like a iffy statement because I'm sitting here batching podcast episodes. I feel full throttle in my business, but I am in a state of pulling back, of moving back, right? Now, do I make that mean something negative about myself? So when you identify this new season, do you make it mean something negative about yourself? If so, what do you make it mean? And how is that not necessarily true? Another question is, who am I no matter what season of life am I in? I believe that I'm a successful business owner no matter what season I'm in, whether I'm in the season of motherhood, while I'm on maternity leave, when I'm not on maternity leave. Like, I believe that I'm a successful business owner. I'm a successful breakup coach. I am good at helping people. And I'm going to believe that no matter what season I'm in. Just like my clients, you can believe, I know how to handle this. I have the resources I need. I am worthy. I am enough, no matter what other people see in me. No matter what season of life I'm in, if I'm in a low, doesn't mean that I'm not deserving of what I desire in life. So what part of myself can I count on no matter what season I'm in? For me, this has a lot to do with having my own back. That part of myself is something that I can count on no matter what season I'm in, no matter if I'm in a season of rest, no matter if I'm in a season of cocooning or blooming or harvesting, whatever season I'm in, I know that I'm going to have my back. And lastly, if I knew this was simply a season, no matter how long it felt, what would I continue to believe about myself that perhaps I have currently dismissed? What have you been dismissing in yourself just because you're in a new season? All right, my beautiful brave hearts, I love you so much. Please remember that no matter what season you're in, you can have whatever self-identity you desire. And allow yourself to move with your seasons instead of against them while remaining authentic and true to you. I love you so much. I hope you have a beautiful week, and I will talk to you next time.
If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.